Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still playing out this bullish divergence as the price is now rejecting from this critical area of resistance, while Ethereum is now attempting a breakout above key resistance here in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, we need to take a look at the Bitcoin news today, because just in the last few hours, we saw the German government send another around 10,000 Bitcoin over towards exchanges to dump on the market. So Bitcoin valued at around 600 million US dollars. But the good news is at this rate that the German government is selling, within around 1 to 2 days from now, potentially, they could run out of Bitcoin, because as of right now, the German government is still currently holding a little over 13,000 Bitcoin worth around 750 million US dollars. But just in the last few days, they've sold well over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. And once again, just in the last few hours, they sold roughly $600 million worth of Bitcoin. And so once again, if this rate of selling continues by the German government, then potentially in around a day or two from now, we could end up seeing the German government completely out of Bitcoin. And while the German government has been selling, especially in the last couple of days, we've actually seen BlackRock in particular buy a lot of Bitcoin thanks to the inflows coming into the Bitcoin ETFs over the last couple of days. And of course, as I explained in my last video here on the channel, on Monday, we saw a decent sized net inflow into the spot Bitcoin ETFs of nearly $300 million overall across all of the ETFs. But just on Tuesday, we still saw a decent sized net inflow, not as big as Monday, but still a decent net inflow of over 200 million, more specifically around 216 million US dollars. And once again, just like Monday, the Bitcoin ETF that received the largest inflow was indeed BlackRock, IBIT, which is the BlackRock Spot Bitcoin ETF, followed up by the Fidelity Bitcoin ETF, FBTC. And so just on Tuesday, we saw BlackRock buy around $121 million worth of Bitcoin. And on Monday, once again, as I said in my last video, we saw BlackRock buy close to $200 million worth of Bitcoin to back their spot Bitcoin ETF. And so basically, over the last couple of days, the German government has been selling a lot of their Bitcoin basically to BlackRock, which has been gladly buying up a lot of Bitcoin on the market due to investor demand for their spot Bitcoin ETF. And so these inflows into the spot Bitcoin ETFs are helping to balance out the sell pressure from the German government, especially over the last couple of days. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, first of all, on the 4-day time frame, the next 4-day candle close confirms in just a matter of hours, in roughly around 6 to 7 hours from now at the time of recording this video. And as I've been saying recently here on the channel, in order to invalidate this larger bullish trend, also known as the bull market, by confirming a trend reversal signal in the super trend indicator here on the 4-day Bitcoin chart, in order to confirm that reversal signal like what we saw back here, we need to see a confirmed candle close on this 4-day time frame. So a 4-day candle close below around 55.8k, so around 56,000. And obviously, just over the last 1 week or so, we have seen some moves slightly below 56,000. But with that being said, we have not actually confirmed the break below 56k. So at least for now, we're still holding above that level, which means we're still technically seeing this bullish trend according to the super trend indicator here on the 4-day Bitcoin chart. And there has been other examples of this happening even during this very bullish trend right here, this bull market. For example, back here in around August 2023, we saw a massive candle wick to the downside with the price temporarily dropping to the downside below the bottom of this super trend indicator right here. And we saw the same thing right here, but with a smaller candle wick to the downside, but we did actually drop below the super trend indicator back in March 2023. But because we never confirmed the break to the downside with a candle close below that level, obviously we eventually held that level right there and continued with the larger bullish trend later on. And so this is why we need to wait for confirmation signals to actually confirm, because otherwise, if we're just assuming that the bull market is completely over, you could have made that mistake right here or back here, for example. In fact, if you use the same logic, you would have made the same mistakes back here. And obviously, if you're selling all your Bitcoin right here, that was one of the largest mistakes you could have possibly made, because we had one of the largest bullish moves in Bitcoin's history in terms of the nominal gain follow over the next few months or so. And so this is why, at least as of right now, we have not confirmed the end of the bull market or anything like that, because once again, if you thought the same thing back here, you were very, very wrong and lost out on massive, massive gains. And so in order to actually say that, yes, the bull market is over, once again, we need to wait for confirmation signals to confirm, which at least for now have not happened. And with that being said, taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin chart, and as of right now, the 3-day Bitcoin RSI is still trading below 50, so obviously well into the lower half of the indicator. And generally speaking, at least over the last few years here, when the 3-day Bitcoin RSI is sitting below 50, those are usually some pretty decent buying opportunities, especially if you're holding for the longer term. And so as I've said recently here on the channel, this is not a short-term signal telling us that we're about to flip a lot more bullish in the next few days or in the next few weeks. This is more of a longer-term accumulation signal. And so as I've also mentioned recently here on the channel, as of right now, I am simply accumulating Bitcoin just on the spot market, at least for now, so that even if we see a continued dump in the short term, I will not get liquidated because I'm just accumulating spot Bitcoin and I'm not going all in at once. I'm basically just dollar cost averaging. So even if we go to the downside, I would still be okay. I can continue to dollar cost average, but if we go to the upside, I would also benefit from a bounce. But that is just my strategy at the moment. As always, not personal financial advice because I don't know your personal financial situation. I'm just sharing what I'm doing based on the charts that I'm seeing right now. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, as of right now and just over the last few days, the DXY has basically been pretty much trading sideways over the last few days. So we don't really have any new major updates here in the DXY just for the last couple of days here. And so if we're moving straight into this daily Bitcoin chart, as of right now, this bullish divergence is still actively playing out. As I said in my last video, we just confirmed this new bullish divergence with a new lower low in the daily candle closes and another bounce here in the daily Bitcoin RSI forming that higher low. And as usual, a bullish divergence most commonly plays out in the form of either a slight bullish relief or most likely some choppy sideways price action as the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence, which so far is playing out pretty much exactly as expected. And I do actually expect this to continue to play out at least for the remainder of this week, possibly into the next week, because usually a bullish divergence on the daily time frame plays out at least over around a week, give or take, sometimes a bit longer. But a bullish divergence by itself is not necessarily enough to confirm a bullish trend reversal. So at least for now, I do expect a bit of a relief or a break from the bearish trend, but not necessarily the end of the bearish trend. So it is still possible that after we play out a bit of a relief from that bearish trend, it is still possible that we could continue that bearish trend later on. That's still a possible scenario that we need to consider. But once again, at least for the remainder of the week, I do expect a bit of a relief from that short-term bearish trend. And as for support and resistance, we still have a lot of support at around 56 to 57,000 and more support in between around 51 to 53K. And as for resistance, we have a lot of resistance at around $60,000 to 61,000, more resistance in between 63 to 64K, in between 67 to 68K, and in between 72 to 74,000. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, what we have just seen over the last one day is another move just slightly to the upside to liquidate a lot of positions, which I talked about in my last video and I'll talk about in just a moment. But as the price of Bitcoin started to break out above 58.4K here in the short term, which was a key level of resistance based on a double bottom pattern or W pattern, as this started to happen, of course, we ran into the next major area of resistance, at least here in the short term, sitting in between around 59.6K to $60,000. And in fact, we rejected from almost exactly 59.6K within around $100 or so. And so this is why I also mentioned here on the channel that even if we break out above a key level of resistance, we cannot forget about other areas of resistance where the price is also likely going to struggle at. And of course, we're still seeing a lot of struggle just underneath $60,000 at this golden pocket area of resistance. But with that being said, even though we're seeing a slight rejection from that golden pocket, of course, as I also said just earlier, I do continue to expect that bullish divergence to continue to play out at least for the remainder of this week, possibly going into next week, which means, yes, we might play out a bit of a short-term rejection from that resistance, but sometime soon we're likely going to see a bounce, whether it's right here or whether we go a little bit lower and then bounce. Either way, I continue to expect similar price action to what we've seen just here continue at least for the next few days here. And just before I talk about important levels of liquidity that we need to pay attention to, which the price perfectly played out over the last one day, first, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive lucky draw happening right now. And this is only happening for the next 5 days, by the way, where just by trading crypto using the link down below this video, you get these chances into this lucky draw where you could potentially win some free Bitcoin or Ethereum or USDT or trip to an F1 race or up to $100,000 just by trading crypto using the link down below this video. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and over the last one day, we took out a lot of that liquidity that I've been talking about over the last few days, which was sitting at roughly around 58,500. And I've actually been talking about that liquidity at around 58 to 59,000 since the price was all the way back down here at much lower prices just a few days ago. And so I said over the last couple of days that it is extremely likely we're going to see the price of Bitcoin come back up to liquidate a lot of those positions at around 58,000 to 59,000. And that's exactly what we have seen over the last one day. The price just took out a lot of that liquidity all the way up to just above 59,000 right here. And now that we've taken out pretty much all of that major level of liquidity to the upside, of course, we saw that short-term rejection from that golden pocket area of resistance. And as of right now, the liquidation levels to watch out for, at least in the short term, are mainly sitting just below the price at around 56.7K to 56.8K. And we still have some liquidity closer towards $60,000. But with that being said, the main area of liquidity to focus on, at least in the short term, is sitting just below 57,000, which means it is quite likely that sometime soon, possibly over the next day or so, we could end up seeing a move just below 57K to take out that liquidity, because usually the price of Bitcoin likes to take out these major levels of liquidity. And with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, and right now the price of ETH is continuing the bounce from this critical area of support sitting in between 2.8K to 2.9K. And not only is the price bouncing from critical support based on previous support, the price is also bouncing from oversold territories here in the daily Ethereum RSI, because usually when the daily Ethereum RSI enters into oversold territories, at the very least, we're due to see a bit of a pause from the short-term bearish trend in the form of a sideways consolidation, but oftentimes we see at least some sort of short-term bounce from those oversold territories. And so this is precisely what we are seeing right now as expected, as I've been saying over the last few days. But this signal by itself, as I've also been saying over the last few days, this signal by itself is not enough to confirm the end of the bearish trend, because at least as of right now, we're still technically seeing lower highs and lower lows, which is bearish price structure. And so ultimately, in order to confirm a bullish trend reversal, we need to see bullish price structure confirm by, for example, confirming higher lows in place or higher highs in place, or key breakouts above significant resistance. Those are just some examples of bullish price structure. And at least as of right now, we're not really seeing any significant bullish price structure here on the daily time frame. But if we're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 6-hour time frame, what we are now seeing in the price of ETH in the short term is an attempted breakout with actually a couple of candle closes here on the 6-hour chart above this short-term Fibonacci level of resistance, which is sitting at around 3080. And so technically speaking, we do have some early confirmation signals confirming a breakout above this resistance at 3080. And so ideally, if we can now hold above this area as new support, then the next major level of resistance to the upside based on the Fibonacci retracement tool right here from swing high to swing low based on the linear settings. That next Fibonacci level, the 38.2% Fibonacci level of resistance, is sitting at around 3250. And in fact, if we're measuring out a technical price target for this double bottom pattern or W pattern right here, that also places a price target right around that next Fibonacci level. So once again, close to 32.50 as the next bullish price target for as long as we can simply just hold above 30.80 right now. Because if we see something similar to Bitcoin in the short term where the price just breaks back below that neckline right there, then technically that would invalidate that short-term price target for this W pattern. And so essentially, if we break back below 30.80, expect some more choppy sideways price action as the most likely scenario here in the short term, kind of similar to what we saw just here. But once again, for as long as we can simply now hold above 30.80 and actually bounce from that area as support, then expect a continued relief up towards around 32.50 as the most likely scenario potentially in the coming days. And with that being said, taking a look at the price of Solana on the 12-hour time frame, and right now the price of Solana is still struggling at this exact area of resistance that I've been warning about here on the channel, sitting in between around 140 to 144. But if we can eventually confirm a breakout back above 144 with candle closes above 144, then in that case, we could see a move back up towards around 152 to 154, which is the next area of resistance. And above that, we have a significant level of resistance at 160 based on previous support and resistance. But at least for now, the price of Solana is in a very similar stage in the market compared to what we saw back here, where we're basically just seeing a large sideways price range and a lot of choppy sideways price action play out just in the shorter term. So we don't really have a strong trend or momentum to either direction here in the short term. We're basically just chopping around sideways. Once again, very similar to what we saw back here. And if we end up seeing another major rejection from this area of resistance, we still have this critical area of support, a massive area of support in between 120 to 128, where there's still a lot of buying pressure. And of course, if we confirm a breakout above 144, technically speaking, this area in between 140 to 144 should become new support if we can confirm that breakout. But obviously, at least for now, it is still acting as resistance, and once again, expect more choppy sideways price action as one of the most likely scenarios here in the shorter term for the price of Solana. But if you want to trade any of that volatility here in the short term for the price of any crypto, once again, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.